Hey, thanks for joining us again as we go into Christmas and celebrate Christmas. Christmas is to be a joyful celebration because we're really reflecting and looking at the birth of Christ, the birth of our Savior, the beginning of God's plan to save mankind through Jesus Christ, and looking forward to what Jesus accomplishes all the way to his death and his burial and his resurrection, and giving us life and purpose and forgiveness of sins and God's grace. And so we come to Christmas with joyful expectations, but it's not always joyful for everyone. Sadly, this time of year is seen by many as a dreaded time because they face loneliness or depression or anxiety during this season. And so I want to speak to those, or maybe those that you may know, as you help people through this season, on not to have a depression or loneliness or feelings of anxiety during this time. And I'm going to be using some points brought out by David Farmer, who is a licensed marriage family therapist, on speaking on this subject of having these feelings and the sense of loneliness during this time of Christmas. And so this might be true for you. Instead of joy, love, and peace during Christmas, you experience loneliness, depression, and anxiety. So first I want to talk to loneliness. Now, as believers in Jesus, as Christians, we feel that we are created with this need for relationship with God, who desires a relationship with us. And so we're very social beings. And in fact, when you look at the biblical account of creation back in Genesis, we find that God says he doesn't want mankind to be alone, and so he creates both man and woman so that neither one is alone. And so through the world contains all these billions of people, it's really easy for us to become lonely, or at least feel isolated. Many of us live a fast-paced life. Many of us are still dealing with the effects of COVID. And it's not uncommon, especially during the holidays, to have families that are separated by physical distance, and they just can't get together with friends or families. And there's this lack of intimate relationship, maybe with those that we work on with a daily basis, or people within our neighborhood. There's a lack of connectedness with other people. And so we can have geographic isolation as part of our loneliness, or there could be relationship conflict, maybe within our family, and just the family doesn't get together because of that emotional distress. So whatever the cause, loneliness can be a very powerful and a very destructive feeling that we can have. And a lot of times loneliness, especially when it's comes together with depression, right, leads into depression. And so that feeling of isolation from others can bear down upon us and lead us into feeling quite despair, feeling sadness. So we have this one side where we have all this pressure that we should get together physically during the holidays, even though you're not prepared to do so emotionally. Both of these can have that effect of this loneliness and depression. You don't know what's happening, and you kind of feel a sense of lack of dread of being together with others, and then that dread leads to guilt, which then leads to depression over a lack of excitement, maybe being with those that we're supposed to be with, or certain friends or certain families, and it kind of turns into a vicious cycle. And Christmas and holidays in general can trigger feelings of grief associated with a relationship loss, lost a mother, lost a father, or a sibling, a death within the family, a diminished capacity because of illness. And so there's grief over that loss. And so the holiday traditions don't feel the same because mom always did this, or dad always did this, or grandfather always did this, or grandmother did this, or aunt, whoever. They would do these things, and now without them or without their full participation, it's just like, it's not Christmas. It's not the holiday that we know and love, and you might feel guilty over that because you're dishonoring that missing family member or that friend and celebrating Christmas on how it is supposed to be celebrated, because you're doing it without them. And so you have this sensitivity that you need to acknowledge that that's what's happening. There's and patience required for allow you to adjust to that grief. And so we can demonstrate empathy for others and understanding a person's given needs. For some, it's maybe this post-holiday adjustment that triggers that loneliness or that depression. Visitors go home, right? Everyone leaves, and the reality of that we're alone sets in. And so these long stretches between holiday visits can easily foster the feelingness of loneliness and those feelings. But loneliness and desperation aren't the only negative feelings many people struggle with during the holidays. Anxiety plays a very important part in all of this. Society's approach to Christmas focused mainly on secular features, missing kind of that religious or eternal significance. The beautiful, quiet miracle of Jesus' birth has become this complex economic sideshow that starts a little earlier each year, and you got to get those deals. And so we barely make it to the end of October, and we're bombarded with Christmas and pre-Christmas sales and this pressure to find the right gift and get what the trend is for the kids, and breaking budgets and going into debt and having the perfect meal and getting that perfect Instagram photo of all this. And the joy is taken out of the season. The joy is diminished, and anxiety is there because you're feeling all this disappointment. So what are steps to reduce loneliness, depression, anxiety during this time of Christmas? Because these things can easily overtake the peace that you're intended to have during Christmas, during this Christmas season. So what's the solution to all this? And so here's a few steps that were given. First, set simple and realistic expectations for Christmas, right? You don't need to make it bigger than what it really needs to be. You know, sometimes we think the holidays are magically going to fix our problems. It's really being unrealistic. Don't have these unrealistic expectations about the holidays. It's going to just set you up for conflict and disappointment. So set simple expectations for yourselves and for the others that you're going to interact with. And by doing this, you're going to manage your belief about what must occur. We often believe that we must find the perfect gift, right? We must cook the perfect meal. We must have the perfect conversation with others. And these must create these unrealistic expectations. Because life, if ever it is not perfect. There's not going to be all these perfect things. And that's one of the problems with the social media is it kind of creates this false narrative that other people are achieving some kind of perfection and you're not. And it's been shown over and over again. A lot of that stuff is fake. And there's all these issues and problems that people on social media have that you have too. So create more realistic expectations by keeping it simple. Just keep it simple. Right? That's all you need to do. Keep it simple. Keep conversation simple. Keep your meal simple. Keep your gift giving simple. Just be realistic about it. So identify what your must need to be and then replace those with realistic expectations. Second, identify people to spend the holidays with. Right? Remember, we are created for a relationship. None of us do well in the long term without interacting with people, without having relationships. And so distance and conflicting schedules may prevent spending the holidays with family. Money might prevent us from spending that time with families, but it doesn't mean that we have to be alone. What you need to do is identify the other people that are separated from family and celebrate holidays together with others. We can create a surrogate family by inviting others to share the holidays with us. Explore avenues to connect with people. And church can be a wonderful place for being with other like-minded individuals during this time. And so if you're not connected with a church, connect with a church. Go visit a church during this time. There's a lot of churches put on a lot of holiday programs and special worship services along just with a Sunday service when it comes to this time, and connect with others. Participate with the church during their holiday activities. Enjoy the fellowship with others, and get creative. If possible, join a family and friends through web conferencing, right? We've all gotten used to FaceTime and Skype and Zoom and stuff. Set some of that time up to connect. And third, set an appropriate budget for Christmas and stick with it. Economic distress and anxiety is associated with holiday overspending, and this can be avoided. We can take the commercialization out of Christmas. That's a man-made trend. That's a secular trend just to sell us stuff, right? So Christmas began with a gift to mankind that's often lost in this commercializing gift giving. That doesn't need to be the focus, because the most expensive gifts eventually are going to be replaced. The real gift of Christmas is God's eternal love for us. That's the real gift of Christmas. Though it's not bad to give gifts, be moderate in your gift giving. That's healthy. Set an appropriate budget for holiday spending. Stick to it. Make a commitment to that budget. You can always enjoy giving gifts, and you don't have to overextend yourself financially. Now, this is key too. Avoid using the holidays as an opportunity to address family conflict. There's no need to use those get-togethers or to stress out at those get-togethers because there's some kind of family conflict. The holidays are typically not the best time to focus on and resolve family conflict, though it can be tempting to do so because you have to say something. You have to deal with this issue that's just been bugging you, or it's been present in the family for such a long time. Family gatherings over the holidays can be tense, even with no conflict exists. And to add that history of that unresolved conflict, and you have the ingredients of emotional fireworks. So be diplomatic when gathering with your family in the holidays. Avoid the unresolved conflict. That could be the best thing for you to do. You might have to kindly redirect family members who drift back to the issue of conflicts. This is not what this is about. We're focused on these things, not these hurts and other things that we can talk about later. Use this time to focus on the event. Focus on the celebration. Focus on the dinner. Catch up on each other's present life. What is happening now with one another? And this isn't to say that unresolved conflict should never be addressed. I'm not saying that. At some times it's going to need to be addressed, especially if you're going to want to build healthy relationships. But the holidays is not the best time to do that. There's always a time for everything, as Scripture tells us. And another way to help avoid anxiety and depression and loneliness is volunteer. There's a lot of things to do during the Christmas holiday to serve others, whether it be through your church or other community organization. Volunteering gives you this opportunity to connect with others and to do something powerful as you help others. And so it reduces isolation, it reduces depression and anxiety, because depression and anxiety is usually self-focused. It's a kind of this heightened self-focus. And then when you're serving other people, there's less focus on you because now you're focused on others. And so as you have this positive impact on others, it can help reduce that anxiety and help reduce that loneliness and depression you might be feeling. And really, 6, focus on the true meaning of Christmas. And that's your relationship with God. God desires a relationship with us. Christmas is a great time to establish and renew our relationship with Him. It's a good time to focus and meditate on, where do I stand with God? And though we may feel isolated alone, we are reminded that God is always with us. Jesus promises that at the end of the Gospel of Matthew. It says, "Lo, I'm with you always, even to the end of the age." And so the gift of relationship with Jesus has been given to all of his disciples. And so let's keep this in mind as we come to Christmas. Even if you are not the one struggling, help each other and you find the holiday spirit. Remember, Christmas is an expression of God's love for us. And the best way we can celebrate it, the best way we can honor this time, is to love yourself and to love one another. Jesus himself said, "By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." And so this Christmas, do your best to spread cheer. Do your best to spread love in an authentic, sincere way. And may your efforts grant one more person a Christmas that is merry and bright. If you like our videos, just ask that you subscribe and like them. And as always, you can leave a comment, and we like to answer those when we receive them. Until next time, God bless.